Just had a rainstorm blow through here about 45 minutes ago with a lot of rain, but it's clear now. It's very muggy. That could be a factor today, and also a factor, thunderstorms. Hey, number 4. That used to be Kerry Joseph, no longer.
No, and there's Darian Durant, who acquitted himself well as a manager of the game last week. He looks to show a little more what he can do. Jesse Lumsden, of course, looking to build on his performance last week where he torched the Toronto Argonauts for 189 yards on the ground.
He's got his game face on. Nick Setta will kick this off to the Roughriders, who look to go 3-0. Ticats looking to build on their first win of the season against the Argos. That's newcomer Carl Berman wearing number 81. He's back along with Wes Dressler. Setta. Line drive shot. Dressler drops it at his 11-yard line. Plows ahead, head first to the 27-yard line. And so Darian Durant, the last time that he ever started a game, was back for the University of North Carolina.
Yes, Darian Durant has been, however, in this Saskatchewan offense for now 3 seasons. He's learned his role well. He's got all the tools to be a good CFL quarterback, and by the coach's account, is a quick study. His receiving core, a new face, Weston Dressler, moves into the spot vacated by DJ Flick. On the offensive line, keep an eye on big Glenn January at left tackle.
Durant, third-string quarterback to begin the season, starts today. First touch is throwing to Corey Grant, the former Cat. And a big gain, and so right away, Darian Durant, if you thought that he might be conservative or a little jittery in his first start, not so.
And no doubt, Rod, that the Saskatchewan Roughriders are anticipating that Darian Durant, or the Hamilton Tiger Cats anticipating that Durant was going to be conservative. The Riders one-upped them, went over the top on the first play. Good start, good call.
Local from Stony Creek here. Corey Grant played in Hamilton and with Montreal, and also, of course, the last few years with Saskatchewan. Expect to see a lot of this guy today. Wes Cates, he was the star of the show last week in BC.
And Cates is going to be an important part of the offense again here today. They recognize that he can take the pressure off the young quarterback. The other thing that's going to help Wes Cates is the effort that he's going to get from his receivers blocking downfield. Have a look right here. Big block by Matt Dominguez, and sustains that block, stays on his man long enough for Cates to get up close to that first down marker.
Of course, missing out of that offense is DJ Flick. Gruesome injury last week, broke his leg in a couple places. We want to say our best to DJ, and if he gets healthy again, it's going to be quite some time of rehabilitation, but it was an ugly injury. But now some of the receivers have to step up in his place because last year he was a big play guy.
Well, we've seen the Saskatchewan Roughriders so far on defense. We talked about all the losses they had in the offseason, and they've shown the depth.
Saskatchewan number 57 is reporting as eligible.
They've managed to play the game at a high level despite those losses. Now offensively, with a couple of injuries, they're hoping to show the depth that they have there. So now people like Corey Grant will hopefully step up, having Matt Dominguez back. Of course, we see Andy Fantuz, who was big last year.
Second down, short yardage. Durant goes straight ahead. It was less than a yard, and the spot should signal that he has the first down. So last week, of course, Marcus Crandall goes down with a hamstring injury, then Stephen Giles. And so why, Ken Miller, did you go to Darian Durant when you did?
Darian has a great knowledge of our offense, and he, by nature, is calm, confident, poised, and an excellent leader. And so we were a little bit frazzled when we went into halftime, and so I thought it would be an opportunity to get his calm leadership into the game.
Twin backs now, 1st and 10, Hamilton territory. Wes Cates cuts back there, picks up half the first down yardage. Darian Durant, though, last few years, all he's been doing is wearing a baseball cap and carrying a clipboard.
Well, that's a simple way to look at it, but Darian Durant has taken it a step further. He may not have seen a lot of game action, but he's a guy who has truly taken his mental reps. A student of the game who's worked hard in the film room. He says he's prepared every single week for the last couple of years as if he was going to be a starter, and has worked very hard to know that playbook and understand it well.
Matt Dominguez is on the short side here. He's looking for Dominguez, and it's knocked down. A big defensive play, almost picked off. by the Ticats. Joaquin Bradley was in the area. And Darian Durant came up shaking his right hand. Lawrence Gordon also in on the play.
And you see middle linebacker Zeke Moreno came straight up the middle, unblocked on that play. He got there in a hurry. Not even a three-step drop would get rid of that one. It looked like Durant rattled that throwing hand off Moreno's helmet or possibly his shoulder pads.
That is all that Ken Miller and the Riders need, is for Darian Durant to suddenly get hurt here. Again, Marcus Crandall is the third-string quarterback, but they would have to use him absolutely in an emergency situation. Stephen Giles, the backup. Luka Conji, 47 yards, hits it, and it goes through. Oh, my goodness. Off the goalpost twice.
Did he call the bank on that?
You could sit out here for the next 5 years and couldn't do that. Yes, it's through, Coach. It took a while. 3-0 Riders. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. Three 3-0 Riders after the bounced-in field goal by Luka Conji. That's a tough way to go perfect on the season. 6 for 6 now, but it counts. Trey Smith back for the Cats. Done a nice job leading the league in all-purpose yardage up to the 35-yard line.
Well, Trey Smith looked pretty comfortable handling that kickoff, but being new to the CFL, keep an eye on him back here in the end zone. He seems a little bit nervous. He doesn't know what to do on this missed field goal. Starts moving, relax. Do I play it? What do I don't know. I think he was almost relieved that that field goal was good.
That is a Rider bounce for sure. Luka Conji will take it. 3-0. Casey Printers behind center. Jesse Lumsden in the backfield will be a force. Going deep for Scott Mitchell. And the ball was underthrown. Great coverage downfield from last year's Grey Cup MVP, James Johnson. That is going to be a good matchup, those two.
Well, they'll do battle all day long today. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Casey Printers, want to take advantage of Scott Mitchell's size. These guys were in a pretty good hand fight on their way down the field.
Interesting how both teams have come out gunning here with the deep ball.
Yeah, I wonder if Hamilton had that intended as their first play, scripted, or if they wanted to answer the bell because of what Saskatchewan did on their opening drive. Either way, I like the call.
2nd down and 10 now. Printers gets rocked. And there's a penalty flag. Lance Fraser was downfield, and it might be an interference call on him. Again, the pass intended for Scott Mitchell. Printers was shaken up.
Casey Printers did a nice job standing in the pocket, taking a hit to deliver that throw. See Printers hanging. He knows that shot from Maurice Lloyd is coming, and it was a clean hit by Lloyd.
Saskatchewan, number 26. First down.
Scott Gordon penalized on the play, the free safety for the Riders. So the Ticats trying to get it into Saskatchewan territory here. Lumsden this time. First carry of the day, and you know that number 28 will have the bullseye on him all day. Saskatchewan Roughriders have been watching a lot of tape.
Well, they certainly have, and you need to watch that tape to prepare for a guy like Jesse Lumsden, because he can hurt you in so many ways from that backfield, and they have him working so well in tandem with Printers. Lumsden between the tackles, Printers threatening the edges. That opens up a lot of stuff to the receiving corps. And big surprise, as Jock Climby said in the pregame, Pat Woodcock off to a great start. And Marco Kavka, natural tackle, played his first game at guard last week and did a terrific job.
Look downfield for Woodcock. Instead went to his secondary choice that time, which was Tony Miles. Pass was knocked down.
Yeah, Renaud Williams showed pretty good range and coverage. 230-pound linebacker did a nice job getting out there.
So now Nick Setta Weston Dressler back at his 15-yard line. Nick Setta, a mighty foot. Right to Dressler. Nowhere to go. Swallowed up just as he caught the football. 3-0 Riders, 10:43 to go in the first. Former star at Western, a Heck Crichton Trophy winner, Grey Cup champion, most outstanding Canadian in the Grey Cup game, Chatham, Ontario's own. Andy Fantus with his own fan club.
Yeah, it seems like half of Chatham is here today. Andy needed 79 tickets himself for today's game for the family and friends. They all come out of the woodwork every time he comes to Ontario.
Oh, hope he gets some royalties off those jersey sales. Number 83. Durant picked up, shoestring catch by Dressler, and knocking over. Is that Ken Miller down there that he knocked over?
Well, that's no way to get
no.
That's no way to stay in the starting lineup.
Coach, sorry. All right, tell Wes Dressler to run a little straighter.
You know, you would think that Ken Miller would be ready for this when he called the play. He knows which way it's coming. Weston Dressler is in the lineup in place of DJ Flick, and we've seen this little swing screen to DJ Flick a lot over the last couple of years. They felt that Dressler was the guy best suited to fill that role in DJ Flick's absence.
Coach takes a good hit. The only hit he had to take in week 1 was from the Gatorade that they poured on him. 2-0 as the rookie head coach replacing Kent Austin. Some thought that was a very daunting task in Regina after Austin left to go south after winning the Grey Cup. But Ken Miller, from all accounts, is a guy that he's been around as well in Regina and obviously with the Roughriders, but they have loved playing for their new head coach.
Well, one of the things that was so important when the Saskatchewan Roughriders were interviewing, and you see Ken Miller and Wes Dressler having a laugh.
Number 57 Saskatchewan is reporting as eligible.
They wanted some continuity, and Ken Miller was someone who had a philosophy that was consistent with that of Kent Austin. In fact, Kent, when he came from indirectly from the Toronto Argonauts, brought Ken Miller, with whom he had coached in Toronto, because the two of them had gotten along so well and thought the same way.
Second and about 1.5 feet, and that looks like Darian Durant has that. So they'll move the yardsticks again here. Let's take a look at the men in the black and gold. Those gold jerseys of the Ticats today. Watch out for number 25.
Yeah, Markeith Knowlton in that linebacking core, among the league leaders in tackles. And that whole front seven is going to be getting on their horses, try and get after Darian Durant a little bit. And this secondary so much more solid this year. Lawrence Gordon had a big bounce back game last week after a tough week 1.
Cates again, nowhere to go, and just like Saskatchewan studying a lot of game film on Jesse Lumsden, I'm sure that the Hamilton Tiger Cats have been looking at a lot of film about what Wes Cates did last week, second half in particular in BC.
Wes Cates is the straw that stirs the Saskatchewan Roughriders offensive drink. They can use him in so many different ways. It's not just the run game. He's a terrific receiver out of that backfield. And they knew he'd be even more important coming in today because of the young quarterback Durant. You'd expect him to lean on his running back a little bit more.
6-pack of receivers now for Durant. Second down, 9 yards. Knockdown intended for Matt Dominguez and Lawrence Gordon.
And that's a battle we'll keep an eye on all day today. So many teams try to work that short side of the field, create one-on-one matchups with that short side corner. And that's Lawrence Gordon's job. Matt Dominguez frequently the single receiver, wide receiver to that short side. Great big target, this being his second game back this season after recovering from mid-season knee surgery last year. And they're going to rely on him a lot as well to pick up the slack created by that injury to DJ Flick.
Ball a little underthrown there. Dominguez, though, has made some circus catches in the past. It's been a couple weeks of great catches. Acrobatic in the Canadian Football League. Trey Smith back now. Penalty flag down. Smith. I'm starting to really like this guy here in Hamilton. First-year player, Trey Smith. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. 8.5 minutes to go opening quarter. Low scoring so far. 3-0 Saskatchewan.
No yards. Saskatchewan, number 15. A 15-yard penalty. First down.
Our referee today, Kim Murphy. So good field position here, Dwayne Ford, for the Ticats to open up this possession. Printers to the air again. Over the middle and dropping the football. Eddie Cohen right in his midst, right in the gut. He's second down now.
As a coaching staff, you hate to see those missed opportunities, and it'll be tough enough sledding against this Saskatchewan defense. Kidwana Jones, of course, stepping into the shoes of Fred Perry. Anton McKenzie replaces Reggie Hunt as we talk about that depth on the Saskatchewan defense. And of course, James Johnson, the star of last year's Grey Cup, has picked up where he left off with 2 early interceptions this year.
Printers fires. Catch made. Tony Miles.
One thing you'll notice in this Hamilton Tiger Cats passing offense is the balance that they have. They don't have a single go-to guy. They're going to spread it around to several different receivers. All 4 other starters are going to get the ball fairly equally, so it's not as if you can focus on one of these guys and try and bracket or double cover any one receiver.
Into Rider territory now from the 46. Play action to Lumsden. Open. Chris Bauman hasn't seen a lot of balls thrown his way. Native of Regina. Former #1 pick.
Chris Bauman has battled injuries through the first couple weeks of the season, so this is his first start. He comes all the way from the right side of your screen. He's just running a flat route, so it's off play action, a little bit slow to develop. That's what allows the defensive back to come up quickly and make that hit.
Second down and 4. Lumsden time. Yes, it is. Churning, and it looks like, depending on the spot, it is a first down. Jesse Lumsden with that upright style. A lot of backs, with his power, kind of like yourself, the way you play. You can get down a little lower and put your head down. He won't do that. He'll try to find a hole and burst through it.
And so many people have tried to correct Jesse Lumsden's running style, and I say correct probably erroneously, because to me, as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. When you're putting up 189 yards against a pretty good Toronto defense, you can run however you want.
Such a huge week last week. First down and 10. Right back to him. Has a hole. Lumsden again. Of course, it comes by his talent naturally. The son of a CFL great, Neil Lumsden. We'll have to go to the sideline. Here's a look at father and son. Son on left, father on right.
Yeah, Neil, the big burly fullback. Jesse, of course, a little bit flashier. I'm going to take the kid in the race here. But both tremendously talented football players.
Well, today you would. Neil could still run, though.
I think
I think I'd take the kid, too.
Yeah, even at Neil's fastest, with a stiff wind behind him running downhill, I think Jesse would still take him.
Printers in the pocket. Wide open. That had touchdown written all over it. Could not deliver the football to Tony Miles.
Tony Miles, the veteran receiver, and his quarterback Casey Printers here in their first year working together. They're really starting to find their stride, starting to get that communication down. Printers certainly knew where Miles was headed on that route, but just a little bit off the mark. He could have taken a little bit off that ball. He had enough room.
And he had enough time. Lots of protection that time for Casey Printers, so this sets up Nick Setta. 37-yarder for Nicholas Setta. Kick is up. It is wide to the right. That doesn't happen too often. 3-1 is the score. 5 minutes and change to go in our opening quarter at Ivor Wynne Stadium. CFL on TSN continues next week. Number 4, Thursday, these Ticats in Calgary to take on the Stampeders. Coming off a big win in Montreal. 8:30 Eastern is the time. 5:30 Pacific. CFL on TSN. Winding down week number 3 here. 2-0 Riders, the 1-1 Ticats. Darian Durant now. Just over 5 minutes to go in this opening quarter. Slim pickings between the two teams offensively so far. Durant to Cates out of the backfield, and that is that versatility of Wes Cates, dual back. He can do it all, not only run, but he can catch, and when he catches, he usually runs for a good distance.
Well, we mentioned earlier this matchup on the outside of the field, the short side between Matt Dominguez and Lawrence Gordon. Watch the physical play happening here. Dominguez engaging Gordon a little bit, knowing that he's got that short route to Cates coming behind him, but Gordon more than happy to get his hands on the receiver and not let him get into his route.
2nd and 4. Durant going to the air. Looks over the middle. On the backfield, Weston Dressler, and he will be stopped short. Rontarius Robinson, former Rider, making the stop.
Robinson, a guy who's familiar with that offense, makes the play. Darian Durant facing that pressure expected from the Hamilton Ticats front 7. In that case, Daryl Adams getting some good push-up field.
Saw Robinson there. There have been so many trades between these two teams. The Hamilton Tiger Cats sent a number of guys over to Saskatchewan last year who ended up becoming Grey Cup champions. Robinson was a Grey Cup champion, came to Hamilton this year as a free agent. Trey Smith has some running room here if he can find the edge. Takes the seam inside near his 30-yard line with 3.5 minutes to go. Saturday afternoon special in Hamilton. All defenses so far. Offense is trying to get on track on a very humid afternoon. Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton. Tiger Cats have not had a lot of success against the Saskatchewan Roughriders through the years. In fact, the Ticats really haven't had much success against anybody over the last few years. That's why this game seems like it reeks of a lot of importance as well, to try to see if they can carry on the momentum of a rare early season victory last week.
So true. You hate to bill anything as must win, but it really is important for the Tiger Cats to win games here at home.
Play action, Printers, a bullet. Tony Miles gathers that in.
Those two continue to build that rapport. Everybody expected Tony Miles to come in here. Of course, he arrived as a free agent from Toronto in the offseason. He was expected to come here and immediately be Casey Printer's go-to receiver. It hasn't necessarily worked out that way, at least not right off the bat. But these two have worked together a fair bit in practice in the early going, and you see them starting to get that relationship where they're on the same page so often, recognizing the same things.
And there have been some great combinations, and there are great combinations in the CFL now. Obviously, you think of Anthony Calvillo and Ben Cahoon, and of course in BC there was Dave Dickinson and G. Roy Simon when Dickinson was in BC. Danny McManus was on the sideline down there, and Darren Flutie had some great magic. Sometimes that chemistry takes a while. Printers, Bauman with another reception.
Chris Bauman is coming into the game in the 5 receiver sets for Hamilton here tonight. 6'4" slot back, who is the #1 overall pick in last year's draft. He gives Casey Printers another big target. They're running double outs here. The first one clears things out a little bit, giving Bauman a little bit of space to make that play.
Played at the University of Regina, came out of Brandon, Manitoba. Played high school football there. Wide open again is Bauman. Chris Bauman trying to shake a tackle and a big gain here. And showing now some of that flash that everybody talked about when Chris Bauman was drafted.
Yeah, if you were going to make a comparison as to the ability of Chris Bauman, it would probably be to Andy Fantuz. That's the upside you expect. Now Saskatchewan brings some pressure on this one. Look at Lance Frazier, number 15. Takes a bad angle to the football. He expects that to go further outside. Nice job by Bauman to come back to the ball a little bit and break the tackle to the inside.
Under 2 minutes in the opening quarter now. Lumsden on the edge now with maybe a little room and only a couple of yards as the Riders read that perfectly. Kidwana Jones in on the play as they were trying to chase him down.
Tremendous job by the entire Saskatchewan defense, not just the front seven, to string that one out. When Jesse Lumsden gets to the edge, you don't want to give him a chance to get those shoulders turned upfield.
Marcel Belfay, offensive coordinator. The Hamilton Tiger Cats now was with Montreal and, of course, spent a lot of time with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Second down, 7 yards to go. And yeah, that is about 10 yards offside. Whoops.
A lot of laundry on the field right now.
Obviously, something going on with the count. I chatted with Danny McManus, of course, was with us last year. And
Hamilton, number 65, a 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Charles Thomas with the penalty, but there's Danny Mac, and asked him a little bit about what's going on, and he's working with the quarterbacks here now with KC Printers and said expect a few different counts today. Well, I guess that one was a little bit different.
Yeah, Danny might have told us to expect a few different counts. He might have forgotten to tell the offensive line.
Exactly. Pump fake, Printers. Oh, trying to thread the needle once again to Tony Miles. And that's the second time that Tony Miles could have been sprung for a touchdown.
Well, they had the hook and go on. And Tony Miles found a little bit of space with the help from a pump fake here. Right here, Miles makes his break, Printers pumps. If he had just thrown it a split second earlier, there was a little bit more of a seam there. But the defensive back recognized and reacted very nicely on that play.
James Patrick just getting his hand on it, maybe a finger on it at the last moment. And now Nick Seta, who's one of the best punters in the game, will try to take one into the corner here. This was not a good kick, though, by Seta. Ball bounces out at the 24-yard line. Seta, we saw a lot of him last year. Too much Seta for Charlie Taff. He'd like to see more Nick Seta kicking point afters this year, but Seta was a force, and he was on the field a lot last year for the Tiger Cats. Former star at the University of Notre Dame.
57, Saskatchewan is reporting as eligible. 57.
Nick Seta might have tried a little bit too hard to directionalize that punt as he was looking for field position, trying to pin the Roughriders deep. Really went off the side of his foot.
30 seconds to go in this opening quarter. Low scoring. Durant. Wes Cates has room. Cates with a couple of cutbacks and the biggest run of the day from last week's Gladiator.
Great run by Wes Cates, but this one is made by the block from his fullback, Neil Hughes, the man who's right in front of him in the eye. He's going to motion up early. His job is to prevent any flow from the backside of the play. And there you see the cut block. He chops down the defensive end, Corey Dickerson. Dickerson can't recover in time, and there's the lane. Stays open just long enough for Wes Cates to break it through there. Perfect job by Neil Hughes, filling in for yet another injured Rough Rider, Chris Zarka at fullback.
Probably the last play of this opening quarter. Durant goes deep. And the tip drill caught by Dominguez. From an interception, perhaps, to a completion and into the red zone. What a final play of the first quarter. Matt Dominguez. Boy, there have been some good Rider bounces in this first quarter. 3-1 Riders after one. They threatened early in the second quarter. Not many big numbers. Our numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh. Always.
Yeah, as you said, Rod, not exactly an offensive showcase in the first quarter, but these two teams are feeling each other out a little bit, especially for quarterback Darian Durant, getting a feel for that Hamilton defense, and managing the game. He knows exactly what his role is coming in as the backup quarterback.
And not shy about going deep here, especially to one of his big targets, Matt Dominguez.
Yeah, the 6'3" Dominguez creates matchup problems for virtually any defensive back in the Canadian Football League. Throw it up, Matt Dominguez always gives you a chance. He did a great job staying with that one. The concentration after the tip by Chris Thompson.
Chris Thompson victimized there, and now Riders moving closer to the goal line here. A chance to punch one in. Matt Dominguez, of course, last season 10 games and then went out with an ACL injury. That little bullheaded said he wanted to still come back despite his knee. Did not. Durant now to the end zone once again for Dominguez, and could not run under that one. It's obvious Matt Dominguez, though, when he's in the ball game, is a big factor for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Now bear in mind, you see Matt Dominguez line up again as the inside receiver. They try to move him around to create matchups here. DJ Flick led this team in receiving touchdowns last year. He was the guy they often look to in the red zone. Now they have to look to different people a little bit.
Ray Marius with a lick on Durant just after he threw the football.
Well, the trend continues. Put the pressure on the young guy.
Big play now for the Hamilton defense. Out of the backfield. Andy Fantuz has a first down. Almost had touchdown. Good recognition there by Darian Durant. This is what he did last week against BC.
Yeah, simple plays here. They set this up as a little bit of a pass play. Andy Fantuz comes in for a slush block on the backside, or so it seems. This is a screen pass all the way. You see the big boys get out in front of him. Nicely executed, nicely timed play. We saw Andy Fantuz score a touchdown on a very similar play a week ago.
Neil Hughes in the backfield. Supplies some blocking help with Wes Cates. First and goal now for the Riders. Decides to throw it, and Hughes has a touchdown. Everybody, including the Hamilton Tiger Cats, was thinking number 20 is going to get the football. Went to number 32.
This is something that you set up with your tendencies over the course of a couple of weeks. You expect from here a short yardage situation. Wes Cates, watch everybody crash to Cates. Play action all the way. 3 open bodies in the end zone. Darian Durant had his choice of who he could have thrown it to there. He opts for the fullback, Neil Hughes. Always a good choice with me.
Speaking like a true fullback. Hughes last year had his first touchdown. There's another for him. The Riders have a 10-1 lead early second quarter in Hamilton. One of Regina's hometown boys, Neil Hughes, with the touchdown. So the Riders have a 10-1 lead. Darian Durant looking good so far. 7 of 10, 103 yards plus a touchdown.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders didn't look for Darian Durant to come in and be a hero. They look for him to come in and be efficient, protect the football, make good decisions. Don't try to do too much, and he's done a good job of playing within himself so far.
Trey Smith. Cut down right there near the 28-yard line.
Well, great drive here, and the key play, of course, big catch by Matt Dominguez, going up and getting this football, helping out his quarterback a little bit, really, on a ball that could have been picked off. And then nicely executed play-action pass in a short yardage situation to the fullback, Neil Hughes.
Well, you look at all the guys like a Casey Printers, who at one time was a backup to Dave Dickinson, and backups who have become stars. Maybe Darian Durant could do that in the CFL, and if people say, hey, your first touchdown pass, do you remember with all those receivers? Well, it was to your fullback, Neil Hughes.
There you go.
Printers now. Diving and not able to make the catch, Scott Mitchell. It's important now, if you go back a couple weeks when the Hamilton Tiger Cats were playing the Montreal Alouettes, and the Owls put the Cats in a hole all night long. They did gather some momentum late in the game, but they were never able to respond to scoring drives.
No, that was it. And we saw right from the opening of this game, Saskatchewan came out, put 3 points up on the board. They were aggressive on their first play from scrimmage, and it seemed like Hamilton's very aware of that as they came out and threw a deep ball on their first play because they want to answer the bell. They recognize that they can't let themselves get pushed around like that.
Printers going downfield again for Mitchell, and there will be an interference call. Lance Frazier says, "What? Not me." Printers on the rollout that time and could not get to Mitchell.
And Scott Mitchell does a nice job of selling it to the officials on this flag.
Because I don't think he would have been able to get to that football.
No, and Lance Frazier had his hands on him, but by continuing to work on the play and leaning on Frazier a bit, he got that call.
First down, Hamilton.
So a break here for the Cats. Ball goes into Saskatchewan territory. Net penalty of 32 yards. Play action. Quick hitter right there. Able to catch the football this time and hang on. Eddie Cohen. Sometimes when you miss that easy one, you know that for the rest of the day, you better be hanging on to that.
So true. The life of a receiver. Eddie Cohen did a nice job on that one. He and Scott Mitchell, those two rookie receivers that the Hamilton Tiger Cats are so high on. It was a difficult decision for them in training camp. They had other people who may have been a little further along the learning curve, but the Hamilton Tiger Cats had to look at potential, and they really liked what these two young guys had to offer. They'll grow with each game.
Jesse Lumsden with his 5th touch of the afternoon so far. Half the first down yardage. A week ago against the Toronto Argonauts, we saw a lot of Jesse Lumsden, and so did the Argos defense.
Well, 20 carries for Jesse Lumsden last week, put up 189 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and his impact went far beyond his statistics. He also set up Casey Printers for a couple of touchdowns. Most people came into this game anticipating that Jesse Lumsden would see the ball a lot, but they're facing a different defense here. Remember, Toronto plays that 3-man front that tempts you to run a little bit more.
There's the first down. Once again, it's Chris Bauman.
This would be such a bonus for Casey Printers if they could get this guy going. Chris Bauman, a massive potential. 6'4", 212 pounds. He lines up as the inside receiver on this play. He's just going to run a little in route, short curl route. Provides a big target, opens up as almost like a basketball player boxing out. Soft hands, very athletic player. And they hope that he continues his development curve, which started well last year.
Here's a hole now for Trey Smith. And that's quite a duo that they have back there with Trey Smith, who's more of a low center of gravity kind of runner, and Jesse Lumsden. And so now into the red zone go the Ticats.
Nice speed guy here, Trey Smith. How about the lane? Right through here. Little scat back like Trey Smith. He could walk through that. Good job once again by the Hamilton offensive line. We saw it last week as they opened up holes for both Lumsden and Smith, picking up right where they left off.
Oh, still on his feet. Smith to the 2. Should have been stopped for a loss. Little spinorama from Trey Smith.
The thing that's important to remember here about Trey Smith, he's not a big back. This is a guy who weighs about 190 pounds, but he runs low to the ground. He keeps his feet moving, and that's what allowed him to stay alive on that play. Great effort run from Trey Smith.
Former Auburn Tiger, Lyle C. Smith is his name. There are 3 Lyles in his family, so they call him Trey. And now the big guy, Jesse Lumsden, takes it in. And the Cats roar back. Big drive aided by a penalty call. But, you know, when they think about going to Jesse Lumsden all the time, they go to Trey Smith and then Mr. Automatic.
Well, it's a little bit like a pitcher in baseball. throwing a steady diet of fastballs to opposing hitters, and then you throw the changeup with Trey Smith, and then you go back to that fastball, it can throw him.
There's a penalty flag here, and that's exactly what the Cats have been doing, because again, week to week in the CFL, you know, you're expecting Jesse Lumsden on the marquee, and Charlie Taff and the Cats throw a healthy dose of Trey Smith at them and finish it off with Lumsden. We're going to see more of Lumsden here today, though. Waiting on the call here for the point after. An important response.
Hamilton, number 60. 5-yard penalty. Retry the convert. Timer. Please hold the clock to the snap of the ball.
Something that the Ticats did not do against the Montreal Alouettes on opening night. They were just never able to respond and looked really shaky and rusty also on opening night. So set up 5 yards back. Jesse Lumsden finds the house again. First time this year in Hamilton. 10-8 Riders. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you are in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. Getting into the zone, the end zone, Jesse Lumsden had 3 rushing touchdowns all of last season. He's matched that already early this year. Third game in. Weston Dressler. Special teams always a factor. Cats converge and stop him.
66 yards from setup.
Let's go down to the sidelines, and joining us today, Ray Morrison. Hello, Ray.
Hello, Rod. You know, Darian Durant had a very unconventional week of practice. Your bona fide starters gets 90% of the reps. Well, here were the 3 days for Darian Durant. 75% while they started the week of practice. 50% after he was named starter due to a flu bug. And then he only had 1 day of 90% practice for the first team, and that was on the final day before they came here. So some challenges leading up to his first ever pro start.
Lived up to them so far, though. Durant's look good. Both teams have now found the end zone. Little rhythm in this game now. Play action to Dressler. Oh, what a lick. Lawrence Gordon rocks Weston Dressler's world.
Well, we saw Lawrence Gordon get his confidence back last week. He was tested in week 1 a lot by Kerry Watkins and the Montreal Alouettes. But he... We see and hear that he's got his confidence back. He's got that swagger back, and you need that, Rod, to play out on that corner.
Right now matched up with Dominguez again. They go inside, though. Second down, fighting for a first down. Trying to get there is Wes Cates. This will depend on the spot. Looks like they might be half a yard shy. So maybe decision time here, although they are at their own 30-yard line. Looked like they were ready to bring the kick team out.
The thing that makes this a difficult decision, even given the field position, is that, you know, as a backup quarterback, part of your job is that you avoid putting the defense in bad situations. I'm sure this factors into the decision for Ken Miller, is we don't want to give the defense such a short field to try and defend. Let's punt the ball. We'll take what we can, even if it is just a yard.
Here's a guy who spent 3 seasons here in Hamilton doing the kicking, Jamie Bourne. Trey Smith. Smith, such an important part of that last drive, the 8-play, 83-yard drive that ate up 4.5 minutes of the clock for the Cats. Floating kick here. Smith. It will be good field position for KC Printers again, and maybe the Cats can find the end zone again. We'll return to Iverwin Stadium right after this. KC Printers 7-13 so far. Cats coming off their first win of 2008. Printers didn't get a chance to finish off the season, even though he came in late in the season in Hamilton last year as the proclaimed savior. And Obviously takes more than one football player on a 42-man roster. Didn't get a chance to finish the season out because of an injury. It's looked good so far for the most part early in the 08 campaign. Lumsden in the backfield with him. Lumsden off the edge, and a great play by Kidwana Jones to chase him down from the other side. But the Cats are a confident bunch, much more confident than they were last year, and that all has to do with that win last week.
I just think the guys are more confident, and guys are approaching this thing like we know we can rather than can we, or you know, guessing whether if we can win or not. Now we know we can win.
Great misdirection play here. Everybody followed Jesse Lumsden. Casey Pritters took off, but there is a penalty flag. The Riders are signaling it's against the Ticats. Second short yardage. It looked like it was going to Jesse Lumsden. And will this play come back? Looks
Holding
like it is.
Hamilton, number 89, after the first down. 10-yard penalty, first down Hamilton.
So after the first down, the ball still comes back, but it's a heck of a play run by the Cats.
And Scott Mitchell is the individual who's going to get flagged blocking downfield, and you love to have your receivers doing this job, but you've got to know when to let go, and you can see how he kind of had his hands under the armpits around the back of the defender he was blocking. But fortunately for the Tiger Cats, the call came after the first down yardage was gained.
6 minutes to go before halftime. Ticats down 2. Lumsden this time. Stone wall, John Chick.
Saskatchewan Roughriders expect John Chick to become such a force here in his second year. Played particularly well for them down the stretch last year once he found his way in the CFL. In my opinion, was one of the best rookies in the CFL in 2007.
Riders, of course, in the offseason, even though they won the Grey Cup and were parading it throughout the province, they also had some holes to fill, including their head coach, their star quarterback, and a couple of key defensive players, Fred Perry and Reggie Hunt. 2nd and 11 now. Once again, 20 miles. Casey Printers are just off a little bit in their sync here.
That one was low and away. Casey Printers tried to throw it low to keep it away from the defender in a position where only Miles could get to it, but he one-hopped that one.
Let's see how Nick Setta does now. Last time, sort of in this situation, try to kick one into the corner. Kind of pooched a kick, and that doesn't happen very often to Nicholas Setta. See what happens this time. Dressler. Riders will start at their 20-yard line. 5 minutes to go. Darian Durant, the Riders will go back at it again. Leading by 2 here. Well, TSN is your home for NASCAR. Stay tuned to TSN tonight as the track heats up at the Chicagoland Speedway for the NASCAR Sprint Lifelock.com 500. Live coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, and it's available, of course, in TSN HD. Another long field to work for Durant and Wes Cates. Markeith Knowlton, one of the tackle leaders. Markeith Knowlton in the season opener in the loss to Montreal had 14 tackles that night.
Well, Markeith Knowlton has really solidified this strong side linebacker position for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They went through so many different people in this spot last year. You just saw him recognize, he's peering into the backfield and just recognizes what's going on back there. Shoots through the hole, make a big stick on Wes Cates.
6 backward receivers for Durant, rolls to his right. And did he catch it? Yes, they did, they say. Andy Fantuz again, and so the Fantuz fan club cheering that one on. Let's take a look, though.
And this is a pretty close call. Once again, a low ball. Fantuz slides. It looked like there might have been just a spot under his arm where it might have slid through and touched, but who am I to argue against a Western alum?
Yeah, there you go. Charlie Taft kind of has his hand waiting probably to hear from the guys upstairs who will see a replay or two, and had his hand on that yellow review flag. Andy Fantuz, who last year drew some criticism early on in the season, even from himself, I suppose. He just dropping a lot of footballs, and suddenly had his own turning point or tipping point kind of midway through the season when all these trade rumors were even circulating about Fantuz and whether he would be one of their go-to guys. After that, took off, and the rest is history.
It almost seemed like once the responsibility was heaped on him that Andy Fantuz really relished that opportunity. It was about the time that Matt Dominguez went down with injury for the year that Andy Fantuz took off in terms of his performance.
All those number 83s, Chatham, Ontario, just outside of London. Down the 401. Hometown of Andy Fantuz.
Rod, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are continuing to win the battle of field position in this game. And that's one thing that gave Darian Durant a real advantage last week, stepping in a tough situation against the BC Lions. Some Lions errors.
Borum gets away. And got it away, and no yards call, but Jamie Borum almost had it blocked. No yards called down the field, but that ball, for all intents and purposes, should have been blocked. Borum, good recognition here to take it away.
Yeah, this is a great athletic play by Jamie Borum. This is a guy who was a former defensive back in college. He's not just labeled as a kicker. He's a guy who can get it done, but he sees the rush coming, breaks in mid-stride, manages to sidestep, but still has the awareness to keep that ball in a position as he moves where he's going to be able to kick it on the go, and then the heads up to try and go get it, knowing it's going to be a short kick.
Borum spent 3 seasons in Hamilton, played at the University of Manitoba and Saskatchewan and UBC. Second-round pick of the BC Lions a few years ago. He's a guy who also likes the contact. He'll go downfield in special teams and make some big hits. Good field position here and into traffic that time, and Casey Printers is lucky that that was not picked off. Sean Lucas knocking it down.
Well, Sean Lucas continues to provide steady play from that strong side linebacker spot, doing a little bit of everything. Lucas moving across your screen as he drops into his zone. Reads the eyes of Casey Printers, makes a nice break on the football to step between that ball and Scott Mitchell.
Can the Cats convert here? 3-minute warning after this play. Looked like the Riders jump. No penalty flag, though there is a flag on the far side. This is one that can burn here. Pat Woodcock. Printers had a lot of running room, probably could have taken off as well, but Woodcock makes the reception.
Pat Woodcock is enjoying an early revival here in the early going of the season here in Hamilton after bouncing around.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 47. The penalty is declined. First down.
And there is the 3-minute warning. They're calling that now, and the Cats are moving the football close to the red zone again. They trail by 2. .240 to go in the first half. Hamilton Tiger Cats, big win last week down the road in Toronto, trying to get their second in a row. It's been quite some time since they won 2 in a row. It's been quite some time since they beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Go back 9 games, back to 2003. 1,765 long days. Maybe today. Printers. Bauman again. The number 1 pick in last year's Canadian College Draft, Chris Bauman, has had a good first half here.
When you talk about building a team in the Canadian Football League, your foundation has to be your Canadian players. And this is one of the reasons there's so much hope here in Hamilton. When you look at their young Canadians, the guys they're going to build around, people like Jesse Lumsden. We see Chris Bauman getting back in the lineup and contributing here today. And of course, the last play, a guy like Pat Woodcock, who's a veteran. This is something they lacked with all this young Canadian talent last year, was some solid veterans to show them the way. And Pat Woodcock has made a great contribution here in helping the development of a guy like Chris Bauman. Also having a guy like George Hudson, who was injured most of last year, back on the offensive line. It's been huge for this team.
2nd and 1. Lumsden off the left edge this time. Fumbles the football. And it is Saskatchewan ball. Just when they were moving into the red zone, Jesse Lumsden fumbles the football.
You can really start to feel the confidence of the Hamilton Tiger Cats swell on that drive. Decent push here by the offensive line. Jesse wants to get his shoulders turned upfield. But between Anton McKenzie, Kidwana Jones, two very active players in this defense, they managed to pop the ball free there.
Just took it right out of his hands. Kind of a triple tackle there. Lumsden loses the football. The Cats lose some momentum. James Johnson. He's a guy known for his ability to find the football. 3 interceptions in the Grey Cup. Already a couple of interceptions this season, and a fumble recovery now. Durant, middle of the field for Fantuz. And a penalty flag. This is a face mask likely. So Andy Fantuz and Chris Bauman going at it here today. A couple of star receivers from the college ranks.
Keep an eye on where Darian Durant's eyes go on this play. He's got short receivers out in the flat, another deep receiver here, but watch him go through his reads and bring it all the way back to Andy Fantuz, who's about his number 3 option on this play, but just great patience, great poise by the young quarterback on that one.
You saw the face mask. Chris Thompson right in the grill. So 2 minutes to go here. Darian Durant and the Riders, after that 37-yard pickup, into Cat territory. Out of the backfield, Wes Cates. Held short of a first down, but that's the kind of play that killed the BC Lions last week.
It sure did. Wes Cates became so important to Darian Durant and the Saskatchewan offense during that game. Watch again the effort of the receivers downfield. Keep an eye on Andy Fantuz coming in from the right side of your screen here. Monster block on Rontarius Robinson. That's what you call an ear hole.
A lot of the receivers have been sacrificing themselves. A lot of good blocks early in the season, too. Durant over the top for Hughes. Can't lay out for that, but there is a penalty flag in the backfield. Durant got nailed just as he threw the football, and not McKay Losher was in the vicinity.
Number 9. First down.
Wow, this is a big, big penalty.
Nice job on the pass rush by Naughton McKay Losher, but watch the hands as he reaches. Hands come right up to the face on Darian Durant, and that's what earned him the call on that play.
That wasn't just a hit to the head, that was a full grab to the head.
Yeah, it looked like it. It's funny, the last few minutes, Rod, how penalties have completely swung the momentum in this ball game. No yards call gave Hamilton great field position. Now we see this one moving it up for Saskatchewan.
Cates cut back right into the arms of Ray Marius, who doesn't get fooled very often.
No, textbook linebacker play from Ray Marius on that one. Staying home, knowing his responsibility is that cutback lane. He can't over-pursue the play to the front side. And Wes Cates tried to bend it back. Ray Marius was there waiting for him.
Marius is a star at McMaster here, and guy who's got very, very quick feet. Minute 20 to go before halftime. 2nd and 10 now for the Riders. Send out their receivers. Durant looks screen, went right side, and a beautiful catch by Darius Bowman.
Almost seemed like there was a little bit of confusion from the receiving corps in this situation. Darius Bowman, he's getting a little bit more playing time now with the injury to DJ Flick. There's Bowman. He lines up as your middle guy, but you see him sliding out. Corey Grant is right in the same vicinity as well. You have to believe that one of these two guys ran the wrong route.
Bowman also was able to move the yardsticks here. So 1st and 10, lots of time to try to get this one into the house. Durant, Dominguez, pitch and catch, 1st down again.
Now there's a guy who's been surprisingly quiet here in the first half. Matt Dominguez. It's been a little while since we called his name. But Darian Durant looks to get him involved, not with the deep ball on this occasion, but going again to the high percentage hitch pass. Easy throw for the quarterback, get a little confidence, and get an important player involved in the game.
39 seconds. Saskatchewan trying to find the end zone here. Extend their lead. The Cats hoping to hold them to a field goal attempt. Durant, a wobbler for Dressler. Down to the 3-yard line. 8 up about 10 seconds.
You have to love the poise here again from Darian Durant. We heard Ken Miller earlier talk about the calm that he brings to the team. In this case, Corey Dickerson is going to come free right off the edge on this pass rush. Watch Durant pull the ball down inside of him. Just kind of alters his throwing motion to avoid him with that delivery. It wasn't the prettiest throw, but he got it where it needed to be.
Second down now. Twin backs. Cates gets the call and gets the touchdown. Almost 400 Rider fans here. 326 Rider tickets handed out to their fans this week in Hamilton, and they loved this. Wes Cates bashing in on top of Zeke Moreno.
Good physical run by Wes Cates. Another great lead block by Neil Hughes.
So another touchdown for Cates. That is his 4th of the season. Riders find the end zone twice in this opening half. But that fumble, I think Jesse Lumsden led to that touchdown and a couple of big penalties down the stretch here.
I just want to show you the job that the fullback Neil Hughes does here. He's in the backfield. You're going to see him come up, and he's going to hook the defensive end on this play, pin him to the inside. And once again, there's the lane. That allows Wes Cates to get up to second level, where it's hit one-on-one against the linebacker, Zeke Moreno. And with momentum, he's got a decent chance, even if Moreno tackles him, of getting it in the end zone.
Now, I know, like, Schultz loves the offensive lineman, and Matt Dunnigan, of course, anything to do with the quarterbacks. Jock always talks about those receivers. But now we got the fullback guy in the house, and you're leading the league now in telestrators for fullbacks.
Listen, I'm just trying to get my guys a little bit of airtime. The fullbacks are challenged in the league these days as so many teams play their 5 and 6 receiver sets. We've got to get them their props while we can, partner.
And they do some great work, as you did when you played. 13 seconds to go before halftime. The panel standing by. Eddie Cohen is back, so is Trey Smith. Big kick by Borum. Smith back to his goal line. Kidwana Jones downfield again. 6 seconds to go here. Cats will be at their 15-yard line.
You have to anticipate that the Hamilton Tiger Cats are going to kneel it down here and avoid any risk of turnovers. But just looking back at that last drive, the change of possession, a big part of this process of learning how to win for the Hamilton Tiger Cats is cutting out those unforced errors. Those last 7 points created by the combination of a fumble and a 15-yard penalty.
8-play, 89-yard drive. Ate up 2 minutes of the clock and 30 yards in that drive due to penalties. And Printers will drop to the knee. And that was the constant refrain from Charlie Taff and the Ticats last year in their 3-15 season. A lot of losing going on here. There was sort of a bright light at the end of a very dark tunnel because Casey Printers and Jesse Lumsden, Zeke Moreno, but bottom line is they just didn't perform last year. And they'll have to perform in the second half. Darian Durant and the Riders have a 17-8 lead. You're watching the CFL on TSN.
Live at the Half is brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Well, costly little fumble there, Schulte, by Jesse Lumsden. His first of the season leads to a Saskatchewan touchdown, and it is 17-8 at the Half at Ivowan Stadium. Dave Randorf, Jack Climbing, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz as
now,
we
not
wrap.
Just any Dave Randorf, by the way.
Yeah, Corey Warren over there, too.
Yeah,
Corey's over there.
Corey's
but
over
not just any Dave Randorf. Did you know it's his birthday today? Happy birthday, Dave.
Take care of
Dave. 25 years old.
Thank you very much, Jock. All right, so there's one stat. Let me give you a couple other stats here. Lumsden with 44 yards rushing. Trey Smith with 28 yards rushing. One of the storylines going in was the rushing game of Hamilton, who that had such success against Toronto last year against that Saskatchewan run defense, Matty.
Yeah, and I think all eyes should be on the interior of both of these offensive and defensive lines and watching them bang it out. And we're watching run defense in Saskatchewan. In the first quarter, they basically, I think, took control of this ball game, and they were doing what they do. They only allow 57.5 yards per game on the ground. And here you show why. Watch John Schick pursuit down the line of scrimmage. Excellent job. And then, Hamilton, they're making plays too. Now you've got Trey Smith here. He makes a couple guys miss, and Kiwana Jones and my man Maurice Lloyd. And then here, Jesse, some tough running. This is what he's noted for. And note this, guys. Saskatchewan felt like if they could get Jesse Lumsden's shoulders turned to the sideline as opposed to upfield, they'd have a better chance of stopping their run game. And so far, it's been one heck of a battle in the interior.
They're not having the success they had last week on the ground. You think you stick with it in the second half?
Oh, for sure. You have to. That is your strength as the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Because we're worried that all they're going to do is run the curls.
Yeah, and I'm calling the Hamilton Curl Cats.
Yeah, we used to call them the Hitch Cats.
2 years ago, they're Hitch Cats. Now they're the Curl Cats.
Because they moved down the field a little bit further, which is progress as far as I'm concerned.
That's right.
But talk about progress. At the beginning of the game, we talked about how Hamilton has come a long way in improving their discipline, and obviously that's been a problem because we already have a turnover and we had some bad penalties. But we also talked about how Printers has to play well for them to win, and Printers is having so far his worst game of the year. When I evaluate Casey Printers, I've said this before, I want to see him hit open receivers. I want to see him make people miss in the open field or in the backfield. He hasn't had to do much running, but he's missing open receivers. That miss to Miles, this game would be completely different if he connects.
And
totally touchdown.
And he was 70% coming into action today, Schultze.
Totally different. He does have to hit those receivers, but points of optimism for the Ticats. It's great to have Chris Bauman back. He has an opportunity to be a dominant Canadian receiver, and he's got some great role models in which to work with. I mean, basically, his first year, he has to play as well as Andy Fantus does, and as his career goes on, he has to be talked about like the next Jason Claremont, then eventually towards the end of his career, can he be the next Ben Cahoon? That's the good for the receivers. Now, the bad. And, Jock, I'm telling you right now, I've never run a pattern in my life this deep, but this is a must. There's the ball. There's Tony Miles. He's reaching. He's not running. Maybe there's a tip right there, but just that moment of courage. You have to have sustained courage to play football, but you got to have that moment of critical courage. That was a big, big play. I acquiesce to you.
Schultze,
I don't know what that's like, but you got to have it.
If you were running down the field in the post pattern, that safety wouldn't be coming in as hard as he was. I can guarantee it.
Well, that'd be good, yeah.
When it's Tony Miles, he's not very worried about that.
I know, but he's got to make that.
Yeah, I can tell you it's one of the toughest situations to be in as a receiver because you can see him coming. Receivers get hit all the time, and they don't see it. And everyone says, oh, you're so brave, but you actually don't see the hit coming. When you see the hit coming, that takes something really special.
Right now, the big go-ahead touchdown is Wes Cates, who's off to a great start for the Saskatchewan Roughriders with his 4th touchdown already this season, amongst the league leaders in that category. And the Riders, looking to go to 3-0, lead 17-8 on the CFL on TSN.
Birthday boy.
Welcome back. Here are the halftime numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons, always fresh. Chelsea.
Hey, Dave, Darian Durant, pretty good first half, 170 passing yards, but look at this, not one interception. Well done.
That is not bad for your first start on the road. Ken Miller's got to be happy with that, and he spoke with our Ray Morrison.
Well, assess Darian Durant's first start for me.
Well, Darian's doing well. He's managing our offense, and we're moving the ball a little bit. That last drive was really big for us.
They're playing with confidence, the Tiger Cats are. What are you mindful of in the second half?
Well, they are. They're playing with great confidence, and we're giving them some help. We've given them way too many penalties, so we'll clean that up, play a little bit more, solidly on defense, and continue to move the ball on offense, play great teams, and we'll see how it comes out.
Thanks, Coach.
Back in Hamilton, Ivor Wynne Stadium. Hometown Cats down 17-8. Had a chance to actually go into the locker room with the lead. But let's take a look at what happened.
Well, there's our turning point so far. Fumble right around the Saskatchewan 20-yard line by Jesse Lumsden. Darian Durant and the Riders start the drive, which was aided by two costly penalties. One, a face mask and the tackle on Andy Fantouz. The other, a shot to the head by Naughton McKay-Losher on the tackle on Durant. Set things up for a short West Cates plunge for the go-ahead touchdown. A swing partner of at least 10 points in the last couple minutes.
Absolutely. Rod Black, Dwayne Ford, Ray Morrison with you here at Ivor Wynne Stadium.
We look at what these teams need to do in the second half. For Saskatchewan, they've actually been losing the field position battle. They need to make sure they get positive yardage on first down to allow things to become a little easier for Durant to generate drives and move the football, so he's not always working on that short field, or on the long field, excuse me. For Hamilton, mix up their coverages a little bit. They've tried to get to Darian Durant with pressure. We've seen his poise in that pocket. That doesn't seem to be the way they're going to rattle him. If they can confuse him with some different coverages, that might be the key to them shutting him down.
Average start. Cats have had good field position to start. Durant's done a nice job here, considering he's been with the Riders the last couple of seasons. Has only thrown one pass. It was a completion. Played all of last year, part of the Grey Cup team, but again, not a chance to play. Getting his chance to play today and doing well. Finding a hole now and getting sandwiched. Trey Smith to the 34-yard line. That's where the Cats will start.
We'll take a look at how these two quarterbacks fared in the first half. How about the numbers right here for Darian Durant? 14 of 17 in the first half. Very efficient performance. One touchdown pass. You heard Schultze say it at halftime. No interceptions, no turnovers. And this is what we mean when we talk about managing the game, understanding situations and making good decisions with the football, never putting your defense in a hole. Darian Durant has done a nice job of that.
Brimming with confidence, too. A lot of that buoyed by that win last week in BC off the bench. Casey Printers flushed out of the pocket, decides to take off with it, and will step out of bounds a yard shy of that first down marker.
On the topic of good decisions, a good one here by Casey Printers, not to try and force the ball downfield, but to use his legs to try and move the sticks, but at least pick up positive yardage, making something out of nothing on the play.
Jesse Lumsden in the backfield now. Will they go to Lumsden a little more in this second half? Jeff Piercy. Second down, short yardage. They move the sticks here.
Jeff Piercy has those Saskatchewan roots, a former U of S Husky. Everything for the Hamilton Tiger Cats that they've put up today in terms of yardage, you know it's been well earned. This is the top-ranked defense in the league.
Printer stands in. Bauman again, penalty flag. Got about 6 or 7 yards. Chris Bauman's done a nice job. And it looks like this ball is going to go back.
Holding. Hamilton, number 69. A 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Jonta Woodward. The infraction.
Woodard lost his man to the inside on that one and actually had to stick out his leg to try and hook him up, slow him down a little bit.
Penalty numbers piling up for the Tiger Cats, not helping their cause here in front of their hometown fans. Fires to Lumsden. Jesse Lumsden shakes one, shakes two, another. Lumsden still on his feet. Almost 15 yards on that little dump pass, which is more like a bullet out of the backfield from Printers to Lumsden. That's what Jesse Lumsden does best.
Well, he is the total package in the backfield. You see his speed when he gets out in the open field, but here he shows his power. This is a 225-pound back. He's going to break some tackles and fight. Good effort from Jesse Lumsden. That's leading by example.
Trying to erase this penalty now. 2nd down, 5 yards to go. And Tony Miles. Miles ducks one tackle. And finally, Printers and Tony Miles connect on a big gainer.
We spent some time in the first half demonstrating the connection, the rapport between Casey Printers and Tony Miles. This is just a great timing route. There's his break, comes back in stride, ball thrown to the perfect spot. A couple of missed tackles, and the elusiveness of Tony Miles accounts for a few extra yak yards. Nice gain for the Tiger Cats.
Lumsden. Play action ahead. Picked off. Lance Frazier. And just as they were carrying some momentum, it gets zapped right away.
And this is a perfect example of the defense and the defenders in it knowing their responsibility. The defensive end, John Chick, is going to crash down. That leaves the middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd, to come all the way around and keep contained responsibility. They execute this perfectly. Chick plays the run. Lloyd plays the bootleg. That forces Printers to throw it in a hurry. Bad throw leads to the turnover. Great job on defense. Good job knowing their responsibilities.
Frazier's 2nd interception of the season, had one all of last year. Dropping the football. It's a live football. Fantou's throwing. Picked right back. Chris Thompson. The old flea flicker. Fantou's dropped it. Had to get it away in a hurry. It probably might have thought about eating that one.
You see Andy Fantou's motion from the backfield. He goes on that swing screen. They make sure it's a backwards throw so that he's still going to be able to throw a forward pass on the play. But this is a place where Andy Fantou's has to cut his losses. Once that ball was dropped, he shouldn't try and force that throw. He should just try and run it or throw it away, throw it out of bounds. But trying to force that ball downfield and make something happen proves costly for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Interception, first of the day. Not thrown by Durant, but by Fantou's. Printers dancing. Open is Mitchell. Right at the midfield stripe. Little happy feet from Casey Printers in the backfield. Avoids the rush and a potential sack.
Casey Printers has shown that mobility so well this year. We didn't really see it from him in 2007, but he's used his legs very well, whether to get on the run or just that so-called escapability here this year. Notice how he kept the eyes downfield the whole time, not just looking to take off with the ball, but moving, looking downfield for a throw to open up.
Lumsden behind some blocks now. Jesse Lumsden breaks a couple more. And just like last week against Toronto, Lumsden stepping up in the 3rd quarter.
Jesse Lumsden, not only is this guy alone at 225 pounds, but he's got speed. He accelerates so well, lowers the shoulders. In spite of that upright running style, always lowers his shoulders very well going into contact. That's what allows him to break those tackles.
Trying to describe him yesterday, and his coach called him a battering ram with speed. Here he goes again. Can't ram any further forward, though, and stops short. So second down now, and it'll be a throwing down for KC Printers and Company. Jesse Lumsden, again last week, 189 yards rushing. Week number 1. Not a very good week for him, only 36 yards rushing. 9 carries in week 1 in that loss to Montreal. Printers open is Bauman. Chris Bauman into the red zone.
Well, Ron, we talked so much about Chris Bauman and KC Printers working out together during the offseason. Clearly, this has paid off. Bauman's coming into the game a lot in 5 receiver situations, and he so often seems to be the guy that Printers is looking to, lining up as the inside slot. Again, that big target, getting him close to the football where he's going to see a lot of action. This could be a real breakthrough season for number 87.
And like Andy Fantuz, he had his struggles last year. Chris Bauman hanging on to the football, getting used to the game. Trey Smith, little counter here. So another big second down play coming up. Cats so far this season have not been able to find the end zone via the pass.
Well, they've leaned on that run game at go-to time. And you've got a guy like Jesse Lumsden, first of all, and KC Printers, a quarterback who can run, has chipped in with a couple of those touchdowns himself. Make that 7 rushing touchdowns on the year. First, we're going to see the battering ram part. Boom! And then the speed. Jesse Lumsden doing it all for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Smokes Sean Lucas. Lumsden's second touchdown of the game. 4th of the season. 6 plays, 75 yards. And just like at the end of the second quarter, a turnover. And the Cats are able to propel it the other way. They trail by 2. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan's Make the Call. Play on cfl.nissan.ca for your chance to win a trip to the Grey Cup. The Hamilton Tiger Cats find the end zone again thanks to Jesse Lumsden. That front line led by center Marwan Hage. Might this be the year the Cats come back, find a way to turn things around here? Weston Dressler, 36-yard line, and there has been a real culture of defeat here in the last few years, and a guy like Jesse Lumsden, a full season of him being healthy will only help their cause.
Yeah, and a big part of getting that done is winning the one-on-one battles, and that's what this comes down to. Jesse Lumsden against Sean Lucas.
Dusts him.
Convincingly won by Jesse Lumsden in that case. As we said, leading by example, learning how to win, responding when you're faced with a little bit of adversity. They turn over the ball, the defense comes right back and creates a turnover. They march down the field.
Riders still lead by 2 points. Wes Cates. Gotta love the way Wes Cates plays the game.
Well, last year, Wes Cates came over at the end of training camp in that deal with Calgary in exchange for Rob Lazio. And people knew that Wes Cates, playing behind Joffrey Reynolds in Calgary, that he was a solid back. He was capable. People realized by the end of last season, Wes Cates was a legitimate star in the Canadian Football League, and he is continuing to prove it here in 2008.
What a great trade Roughriders made last June to get Cates involved. There goes Durant. Darian Durant, hook slide, and a first down.
Again, this is just a good decision from Darian Durant, a very cerebral player, and you realize this when you sit down and talk to him. He takes his drop, doesn't like what he sees, takes off upfield. Nice job by the offensive line to get it going.
And the guy with the clipboard and the baseball cap this week, Marcus Crandall. And the reason he is there is the reason this guy is here. And Darian Durant, 6 minutes to go in the third, looking sharp. Darius Bowman again.
Just the way he threw that football, you kind of see that confidence growing from Darian Durant. He's settled in the early going. He's just going to take this, take a quick drop, make his read very decisively, and deliver the football with authority.
Very composed. His first start in the Canadian Football League came in relief of Crandall and Stephen Childs last week. Canes, look out here. Spins after a hit. And a first down. Saw a collision coming. And Cates was able to bounce off of that and gain positive yardage. Because right there, the train was in the tracks.
Watch for Joaquin Bradley coming in from the corner. He's got making a beeline for Cates. Great reaction from the running back. Nice spin.
57, Saskatchewan, checking in as eligible, 5'7".
You know Bradley's going to go back to the sideline after this series, and defensive coordinator Denny Crehan's going to remind him, you got to wrap up. Got to wrap up on this guy.
Denny Crehan, one of the additions to this coaching staff. Charlie Taft staying on as the Cats head coach, a two-time coach of the year when he was with the Montreal Alouettes. Play action now. Durant has running room, lets it fly. Corey Grant fumbled it, but out of bounds. Incomplete pass.
Once again, you're going to see the poise from the quarterback, Darian Durant, on this play. He's going bootleg all the way. He's got his fullback. He's got to decide. He's got one man here. He's going to have Bantus coming late. He's also going to have all the way over to the outside. He knows he's got Corey Grant. That's where he elects to go with the ball, but he progresses through his reads. He takes his time. He's not rushing throws. He's not forcing throws.
In on the play, Joaquin Bradley. Second down. Here's the rush. There goes Cates. Lunging forward for the first down is Wes Cates. A loose football. The Cats thought they had him stopped. And this, again, goes back to last week in the game plan. Whenever Darian Durant saw any kind of heat, any kind of rush, he was able to escape by giving it off to number 20.
And I'll tell you one of the things I like about this play. For anyone who saw the pregame, Darian Durant talked about dealing with those two BC defensive ends, Cameron Wake and Brent Johnson, and how that forced him to speed up his processing as a guy who is used to practice speed. Now you see him able to speed up his processing, his thought process, and his execution on that play, recognizing that the rush is coming. You don't get that in practice. You get that with game experience, and he has adapted very quickly to being in a game situation.
Inside 4 minutes in the third quarter, owning a 2-point lead. Twin backs now. Durant behind center. Hands off to Neil Hughes. Gets a couple of yards straight ahead. Again, the Riders don't have Chris Zarka. He's a big guy, but a big factor too when he's in the backfield, particularly short yardage plays.
A play like that where you just want to keep the defense honest. You don't want to allow them to key too much on West Pace. You occasionally give that ball to Hughes inside, and traditionally it has been Chris Zarka, the big back, to try and hold those defenders in the box and create some room on the edges.
Hughes does have a touchdown here this afternoon. 6 receivers now. Durant going for Dressler, touchdown. What a perfectly thrown football. Weston Dressler, touchdown. And he'll keep that football.
Now this is two so-called backups working together. Number 3 quarterback, allegedly, Darian Durant, because I think he's dispelled that myth today. And Weston Dressler, who's in the lineup in place of the injured DJ Flick. Great timing, great execution by the entire offensive unit. Just a solid drive. This is a team that learned how to win last year. Darian Durant, even though he wasn't on the field, he was a part of that. And we're seeing it right here as they respond to a big play and a big drive by the Ticats.
Weston Dressler out of North Dakota, his first CFL touchdown. Impressive drive, engineered by Darian Durant. The Riders lead 24-15. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan's Make the Call. Play on cfl.nissan.ca for your chance to win a trip to the Grey Cup. Weston Dressler, his first CFL touchdown. Third game with the Riders, one of the newcomers out of North Dakota. Darian Durant, so-called third-string quarterback at his first start, putting on a clinic. Trey Smith, and once again downfield to make the tackle. A lot of special team tackles today for Kidwada Jones, and Darian Durant makes the call upstairs.
Now, these are what you call complementary routes between two receivers. You've got Andy Fantuz and Weston Dressler working together. Fantuz is going to go on the corner route. And you're going to see the safety, number 8, Ryan Glasper, goes with him. That leaves the middle wide open for Dressler to come underneath on that post route. The safety is going to choose. He's got to go one way or the other, and that's where Durant is making his read. Look, corner first. Glasper went that way. He knows he's got to come back to the post.
Again, can the Cats respond? And almost picked off. James Johnson. Scott Mitchell was the intended target. Pat Woodcock was in the area.
It looked as though in the desire to answer with a big play of their own, Casey Printers got locked in a little bit on that one, predetermined where he was going to go with the football.
Woodcock out to the top of the screen. Wide right of Printers. Looking over the middle for Miles. First down. Tony Miles making his second trip back to Hamilton. Started with the Tiger Cats, went to Toronto, won a Grey Cup, of course, with the Argonauts. Now expected to be an important part of the Ticats offense.
True, Rod. Whether you have the lead or you're trailing, you're always looking for positives you can build on, especially early in the season. One of the big ones for the Hamilton Tiger Cats has to be this connection that's developed between Tony Miles and Casey Printers.
Minute 39 to go. Again, Jesse Lumsden very close to a first down. Lumsden starting to heat up here in the second half. Only had 44 yards on the ground in the first half, and I guess we expect a lot because he got 189 yards last week.
When you've got a big physical back like Jesse Lumsden, this is the time when he can take over a game. He's punishing the defense with every single run, and that's going to start to wear them down. Again, we compare those numbers today with last week's numbers. He's starting to close the gap a little bit. He's been busy, as you said, here in the third quarter. Now up to 14 carries, 80 yards.
Lumsden, who's become quite a star here in Steeltown. Cats know under ownership Bob Young and Bob Obilovich now, the GM, and Charlie Taft, that he is one of the key points. Casey Printers, of course, is another important part of the future. Second down, less than a yard. And diving forward for that first down. Should move the yardsticks. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you are in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. Tiger Cats have to get to that end zone here. 24-15 they trail. Last minute of the third quarter.
You don't want to speak too soon, but the Hamilton Tiger Cats have done a nice job responding again, coming out and getting a few first downs here.
coming again. Omar Morgan in on the tackle.
This time, Chris Bauman, who usually lines up to the strong side of the field, they line him up out to the short side. He's just going to run a quick little out route, recognizes zone, sits down in front of the corner, Omar Morgan. It's his 7th catch on the day for 76 yards. A nice day's work in his season debut.
2nd down and 3. Lumsden now tries to find the edge. He does. Look out here. Lumsden to the 10, to the 5, to the 1. What a run. 43 yards. Jesse Lumsden motors all the way to the 1-yard line. Is Jesse Lumsden at his best. Good football game after 3 quarters. Our numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Yeah, great offense from 2 teams that you didn't necessarily expect it from. We knew how good Saskatchewan's defense was and suspected the Ticats would be challenged to move the football. But you look, 364 net yards and great balance as they've gone to Jesse Lumsden a little bit more here in the second half. And that's relatively even between passing yards and receiving yards.
Lumsden does a great job being able to dust tacklers, shake off tacklers. But I want to talk a little bit about Darian Durant and what he has done so far as the Roughriders. I don't think they ever expected to get that out of a 3rd-string quarterback.
Well, so many fans, I'm sure, expected an abbreviated playbook for Darian Durant, but he's shown an ability to execute the whole thing here.
Touchdown. Teams trade sides, and here in the 4th quarter, Cats again bounce back and answer. And this is something that they really have not grown accustomed to here in Hamilton the last couple seasons.
Well, just to go back to that recurring theme, learning how to win. That win last week was so invaluable to this team in terms of developing confidence, showing them that they could win. Coach Charlie Taft talked about it this week. They have become now a team that doesn't think they might be able to win. They expect to win every time they go out on the football field, and that's the kind of mentality you need to have.
Casey Printer's 3rd touchdown of the season, and once again, a 2-point game. Riders lead the Cats in the 4th quarter in Hamilton. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Future Shop. Former Rough Rider assistant coach Marcel Belfay on the phone to Casey Printers. Works in Hamilton now. Belfay, one of the additions to Charlie Taft's coaching staff this year. Nick Seta kicks off. Ticats pull within 2 again. Weston Dressler, after his first ever CFL touchdown. Darian Durant and the Riders will get pretty good field position. Let's go down to Ray Morrison now on the sideline.
Rod, I can tell you the root of this football. This was Weston Dressler's first CFL touchdown. This was the ball. This will go from here to Regina, down to Bismarck, North Dakota, to Mom and Dad. He couldn't be happier. A big return. Who knows? Maybe he'll get another one on this drive.
Could be the first of many for a very talented receiver and returner, Weston Dressler. Now, how do the Rough Riders answer? Game's going back and forth. Cates on the pitch. Oh, shakes one. Another. Wes Cates. 23-yard pickup.
Well, when this one turned into a little bit of a shootout those last couple series, they go back to Wes Cates, settle things down, slow the pace a little bit. There's the man responsible for trying to shut down Wes Cates, Zeke Moreno. A little shake and bake from number 20.
Hello, goodbye. Wes Cates. 2 fine weeks in a row. Handles it again. This time, Moreno says, "You're not going anywhere, fella."
Zeke Moreno's not a guy who's going to miss too many tackles. That's for sure. Made certain he wrapped up West Cates on that one. CFL's leading tackler a year ago.
And again, a big part of the foundation here. Zeke Moreno, Jesse Lumsden, Casey Printers. The three-headed monster, if you will, of Hamilton. The front of their media guide this year. Durant on second down for Corey Grant. Has it. Takes a hit and is hurt. But another nicely thrown football from Darian Durant.
Can't say enough about the composure in the pocket of Darian Durant. It's hard to believe that this is this kid's first professional start. It always helps when you get plays like this from your receivers. Jock Climbey at halftime talked about receivers being able to make a catch and concentrate, the bravery knowing you're going to take a hit. Corey Grant knew that was coming when he went in for that ball.
Durant took one.
Sacrifice to make plays. Sign of a champion.
Hand off inside. Trying to get outside. Nowhere to go this time for Cates. I don't know about you, but you know, because we're so far up, and I'm sure from other people, if you're just watching and you were away for a little while, like let's say you're a Regina Roughrider fan and you went away for a little while, a few months, and you didn't know about any of it, and you looked and you turned the TV on and said, oh, Kerry Joseph's doing very well here.
That's exactly what you'd think. The comments that we heard this week from the coaching staff, from teammates, even from opposition about Darian Durant, people that have known him for a while, about what he brings to the table. The common theme was his composure and the fact that he is a real student of the game. He always prepares very well.
Durant, lots of time here. Wide open end zone, and he dropped it. Darius Bowman had 6. There is a penalty flag in the backfield, and it's against Saskatchewan, so it didn't matter anyway. So Darius Bowman gets a bit of a reprieve that time, but that was in the midst.
Holding Saskatchewan, number 67. The penalty is declined. Third down.
Mike Abumeshrik.
Right at the end of this play, Bowman might have been able to come up with the ice cream cone catch there, but Chris Thompson came in, just managed to get a hand on it and jar it loose.
Third down now, and that was a big play because Luka Conji has to come out here. And instead of 7 points on this chip shot, the Riders are only going to get 3 to make it a 5-point game. With 11:05 to go. Can the Cats do it again? Rally again. March down the field. Well, the Purelators sack tally, donating quarterbacks' weight in food to the food banks. Tackle hunger. The sack tally brought to you by Purelator, where business is going.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have done a very good job of preventing that sack tally from going up today. Of course, they were hurt last week by the BC Lions, giving up 6 sacks. But the offensive line, everybody involved in the protection scheme has done a very good job of stepping up to help out their young quarterback.
Trey Smith again. Smith finds an opening to the 40-yard line. Jesse Lumsden, star last week against the Toronto Argonauts, a couple touchdowns. Has 2 here today, almost had 3. Look what he's done in the second half.
Again, Jesse Lumsden, as he gets more touches, he gets into that rhythm. And the big-bodied back, he wears down the opposing defense a little bit. And we're seeing that effect. But Jesse Lumsden's one of those guys, it's a matter of time with him because he's capable of breaking off the big play. He's got the great wheels when he gets out in the open field. It's almost like eventually, you know, if you give him enough touches, eventually he's going to break one.
Another touch here. Breaks a few more tackles again. Maurice Lloyd brings him down. It's been interesting the way that Marcel Belfay, Charlie Taff have orchestrated the game plan as well, because you knew the focus was going to be on Jesse Lumsden at the beginning of the game. They've done a nice job of mixing and matching And also, you know, the element of surprise has come in a couple times here.
Well, that's been so important. Using the pass to open up run lanes a little bit. You get the defensive line trying to get in their rush lanes coming upfield, and that creates opportunities to run. And, of course, the threat as well of Casey Printers threatening the edge opens things up for Jesse Lumsden.
2nd and 5. Bauman has it. Spent time in Regina, of course. University of Regina. Bauman out of Brandon, Manitoba. Played in the same high school as Chicago Bear, Israel Adonijah.
Chris Bauman has had a very strong day today. His first game of the season coming back from injury. 8 catches on the day, catching balls in traffic, providing a big target, an available outlet all the time for his quarterback, Casey Printers.
9.5 minutes to go in the 4th. 1st and 10. Printers. Here comes the rush. In trouble. Throws downfield and almost had it picked and right into our camera truck. Right in the golf cart here. And that's the hazard. Eddie Davis, the veteran. Boy, that's a good sight. There's a penalty flag on the field way back. But you played here. You know what it's like. Casey Printers is down, by the way, on one knee. Back at the 35-yard line. Did he get hit? And is that what that penalty flag's about?
Major foul. Roughing a passer. Saskatchewan, number 95.
And that's what it is. Luke Mullender. Oh, and Eddie Davis, veteran DB. Boy, good thing he is up because it is so close. I love this stadium as a fan, as someone who loves the game watching it. But I'll tell you what, there's the roughing the passer call.
Yeah, and this is a call. It's not about a late hit. It's about a low hit. When the quarterback is going to throw the ball, when he's a quarterback, you're not allowed to hit him outside of what they call the strike zone, between the shoulders and the knees. The low hits are too much of a risk of injury for the quarterbacks, and that's why Luke Mullender was called.
And the risk of injury is the close confines here. You're very close to the walls, and especially with that golf cart around the sideline, got to keep your head up.
And thank goodness for that padding around the golf cart, because Eddie Davis had zero time to react. He was so focused on the football that he had an opportunity to intercept. There was no chance for him to slow down before he ran into that.
So we'll see if a penalty-assisted drive will continue here for Printers. 2nd and 7. Woodcock dropped it. Incomplete pass. So Nick Seta will come up.
Very quick ruling on this play. You're going to see Pat Woodcock coming on the in route, regardless of contact or not with opposing players. You've heard it before. You've got to survive that contact with the ground and maintain possession. He was unable to do it on that play.
Chance to answer the Luca Conji field goal. Nicholas Seta. This is a long one. Almost 48 yards. Against the breeze. Kick is up. Lots of leg. He got a hit back from 60. And once again, a 2-point game in Hamilton. Eddie Davis. You ever wonder what it's like to get hit by a cart or hit a cart? Watch this right here. And I'll tell you what, he is lucky to be standing there and still in this ball game. Good for him.
That was just a hellacious collision.
Yikes. Veteran, been around, 35-year-old. Report from the sideline is that Eddie Davis is all right.
Yeah, Eddie just says, hey, you should see the other guy.
Darian Durant back at work. Wes Cates again. Continues to rack up the yardage here in Hamilton. Third string quarterback, Dwayne Ford?
I think not. How about the way Darian Durant has acquitted himself today? They've tried to pressure him. They've put heat on him. He's been hit, standing in the pocket all day. This has been from the first quarter. What all Darian Durant has done is stand in there and take it and deliver.
Sometimes you have to wait for that Wally Pipp moment. All of a sudden you get a chance to play. And Darian Durant, his chance was last week. Second down. Positive yardage again for Wes Cates. When he looks like he's going to be stopped, the feet keep moving. And it's going to be short of a first down. Jamie Borum is coming out on the field, but Ken Miller wants to get a measurement.
Well, the closer you get to midfield, the more likely you become to gamble, but Ken Miller again not wanting to risk the field position in the end, not wanting to put his defense in a hole.
So Borum will come out. 7 minutes to go. Jamie Borum knows about the close confines here. I remember a few plays when he was a Tiger Cat, very close to the wall. Had some big hits, special teams. Trey Smith back at his 20-yard line. Cats looking for some good field position here. End over ender. Smith avoids one. But once again, Maurice Lloyd down there. Kidwana Jones has been down there. Both of them today have been all over the field on special teams. TSN's coverage of the Open Championship. The British Open begins Thursday from Royal Birkdale. Live coverage begins at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, 3:30 a.m. Pacific, and no Tiger. Everybody's licking their lips. The Tiger Cats down 2 points. Look out, Printers knocked backwards. John Check, Kidwana Jones there. And Printers is dropped for a loss.
Well, this is just straight heat from those two defensive ends. John Chick and Kidwana Jones are going to be your two men off the end of the line. Great get off by John Chick, anticipating that snap count. Got there in a hurry. Remember the discussion earlier about Danny Mack coaching Casey Printers up to try and mix up those snap counts. Seeing the way John Chick took off there, clearly he anticipated that one. Probably getting to a stage in the game where Casey needs to be reminded, mix up the counts.
For sack, Printers in trouble again, flushed out, throws deep, looking for Woodcock, comes back to the ball and has it. Kind of a Hail Mary from Casey Printers. Pat Woodcock made this catch happen.
Well, this play was made possible, first of all, by a great blitz pickup by the running back, Jesse Lumsden. Lines up in the backfield. Safety blitz coming from the edge, Scott Gordon. Lumsden gets out there and cuts him down, buys Casey Printers a little bit of time. And how about the effort by Pat Woodcock, the veteran, in a fight all the way down the field with James Johnson, and then just going up to get that ball and making a play.
Kidwana Jones again. Printers grimaces a little. Into Rider territory. Jesse time. Lumsden. 4:44 to go.
Jesse Lumsden was so close to getting those shoulders turned, getting around the edge on that one. That's where he becomes frightening.
Lumsden goes to the sideline this time. Second down and 5 yards. Printers on these second down conversions has been going to Chris Bauman a lot. Bauman is to his left, top of your screen. Looks right this time. And miscommunication there. Trying to find Trey Smith. So now Nick Setta can give the Ticats the lead.
You hit the nail on the head here, Rod. This is just miscommunication between quarterback and receiver. Trey Smith goes in motion. This is going to be a read. They're reading the position of that defensive back, and they're going to break off of his position. Printers read it one way, Smith read it the other. And the result is 3rd down and Nick set a time.
Well, the way he kicked the last one, he had plenty of leg, and he's got it from here, the distance. 41-yard line. Rockets through, and the Cats have the lead. 28-27, Hamilton. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. 3:55 to go. Mr. Ford and Charlie Taff and the Cats have their first lead.
And the Steeltown faithful celebrating that go-ahead field goal.
Now it will be up to the D, and now Darian Durant in his first start. Can he lead his Roughriders back? Michael Palmer in at receiver, number 77. To the left. Play action, fake pitch, Durant. Bowman slipped. That was a touchdown. On a great play call from Durant.
Great execution here, but unable to finish the play. Everybody bit hard. They completely forgot Adarius Bowman in coverage. Running all by himself down the middle of the screen. Durant had to hurry the throw. Bowman lost his footing trying to adjust. You see Darian Durant comes up smiling because he knew he had it.
Lots of time. Durant, sideline, short of the first down. Matt Dominguez. This place is rocking right now.
Well, the Hamilton secondary really stepped up on that one, covering everything deep, leaving the only outlet as a route short of the first down marker to Matt Dominguez.
3 minutes to go. Borum will punt it away.
You know, the only thing that could make this game more exciting? A visit from Don King.
A reference to the other night when Don King came in Montreal. He likes the CFL, I say. This has been a boxing match, though, back and forth. Punch, counter punch. Pass now, looking to get the knockout blow. Trey Smith, penalty flag. Likely against Hamilton on the return. 2:35 to go. Tiger Cats, big win. Huge win last week. I'd like to get another here. Rider fans trying to stay undefeated. Game story this afternoon brought to you by MGD. Nothing to hide.
Well, Darian Durant, we're not even going to call him a third stringer anymore. He's been fantastic, aided by Wes Cates in the backfield. But Hamilton's answered with a dynamic duo of their own. Casey Printers lighting it up through the air, and Jesse Lumsden lugging the ball on the turf, doing a great job. Back-to-back weeks, over 100 yards for number 28.
Well, ball possession is key right now, and hanging on to it key. Lumsden, Jesse Lumsden. Looks like a first down against the best run defense, a defense that may be the best in the land, have not given up many points. The Cats have piled up 28 points this afternoon and a lot of yards thanks to Jesse Lumsden.
Yeah, nobody's going to start counting their chickens before they're hatched here, but this is a sign of a good football team and a good offensive unit, that ability to run the football when everybody in the building knows you're going to run the football.
Printers in the shotgun. 4 receivers to his right. Lumsden again. Just give the ball to Lumsden. If the Cats can win this game, 1:53 to go. We were here opening night. There was a lot of positive energy here. A lot of people talking in the offseason. A lot of people in Hamilton, however, are saying, hey, show me. Show me. You know, a lot of 0-4 starts, terrible seasons the last few years. if they can hang on to this, this would be big for this franchise, and I know it's early in the season.
Yeah, it's been a long time since the Hamilton Tiger Cats picked up their second win of the season this early in the season, if they are able to close this one out.
Lumsden, and a huge play by the Riders again. Their defense not to be denied. Minute 31, and they're going to get the football back. Darian Durant gets a chance to engineer a drive now and bring his team back.
Well, keep an eye on Kitwana Jones right at the end of the line. He's going to scrape down, recognizes that Printers doesn't have the ball, closes things down, goes and gets in on that tackle. But he stayed at home first, and that's what prevented Casey Printers from pulling the football. He had to hand it off.
So Nick Seta comes out. Minute 31 to go.
Timeout.
Nervous
Saskatchewan.
Ticat fans here. A lot of Saskatchewan fans as well. Been a very interesting game. Well coached on both sides. Playmaking. Some big plays. Key penalties. Some teams would like to have back. Danny McManus chatting with Jesse Lumsden. Seta. Sails on him a bit. Dressler. Bobbles it. And they bring him down right there with a big hit. 28-yard line. Ryan Glasper had a couple of big rocks here this afternoon. And now Darian Durant comes on.
Well, you look at the distribution of Darian Durant's throws, how long he's been trying to throw the ball or how deep he's tried to throw it. And you see Darian Durant has generally kept his throws under 10 yards. He hasn't tested the Tiger Cats deep a lot. Very conservative. Now we've got a minute 21 to go. Darian Durant may have to air it out a little bit here.
Trying to silence this crowd. Durant on the roll, laying out. Fantus can't get to it. Minute 17 to go. One of the biggest plays of the ball game coming up right here.
Well, no question about it. 2nd and 10. It's one of the few throws we've actually seen Darian Durant rush on, and it was a situation where he really didn't have to.
He can really get out there on the roll, though, and the Riders have to like that. He has been so impressive today. Zeke Moreno inciting the crowd here. Hangs in. Fantus with a clutch grab. And this will depend on the spot. It looks like a first down. A minute 11 to go. Durant hung in, and so did Fantus.
Well, both players knowing they were at risk of taking a big shot. But again, it's that sacrifice to make plays. Quarterback Darian Durant, 3-step drop, throws it on time with the pocket closing in on him. Big shot there delivered by Zeke Moreno. Looked like he might have popped his own player there.
Lawrence Gordon down.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Lawrence Gordon once again is in that critical position, the short side corner. It'll be interesting to see who the Cats slide into that spot in this key situation.
And you know Ken Miller's sitting there thinking, okay, Lawrence Gordon's going off for at least one play here. Might we go after that spot?
I suspect that Joaquin Bradley will slip over from the wide side and play that short side corner.
First down, Saskatchewan. Trying to keep their perfect season going. 2-0, trying to get to 3-0. Three-man rush. Fantus again. Only a couple yards that time for number 83.
Former rider, Rontarius Robinson, sniffed that one out. Kept Andy Fantuz from picking up any additional yards after the catch. Good reaction there.
53 seconds, only 52 now. Got to get it into the range of Luka Kanji. Need a first down right now. Dressler has it. And more. Weston Dressler is off to the races. Will he be caught? No! Touchdown! Dressler has a touchdown. They signal it. The ball was knocked out of his hands. 32 seconds to go. What a play by Weston Dressler. But let's take a look. Was this ball knocked out before he reached the goal line?
Joaquin Bradley.
It's out. It's out.
The challenge flag
is out.
The replay official is requesting a review of the play. We'll review it.
At this stage of the game, it's up to that replay official, and they've elected to review this play.
That ball is out before he got to the goal line.
How about the effort? First of all by Dressler, but by Joaquin Bradley to stay alive on that play and reel him in.
What a turn of events here. Now again, they're seeing the same replays we are. That ball is knocked out.
Now the interesting ruling here, assuming they rule this a fumble, will be possession.
Charlie Taft's going, though, how did we let that happen? How did we let Dressler get loose? Rider fans hoping that the call stays on the field for a touchdown, but based on that replay, I don't know. What a game for Dressler.
Well, getting his first opportunity to step into this starting lineup. It's been limited to kick return duty primarily. You saw the skills that have made him the CFL's leading punt returner coming into week 3 as they got him the ball in the open field on that play.
Safe to say early in the season, the biggest challenge so far with a game on the line. That's why they implemented instant replay. Dressler looks like he'll be okay under the hood. As referee Kim Murphy.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders look almost like they expect this to be overturned as they've left their offense out on the field. They haven't tried to...
Clearly he's not near the goal line.
No, they haven't even tried to put their PAT team on the field.
Crowd very quiet here. Absolutely in shock when Dressler was taking it to the end zone. And then you heard the roar when they showed that replay on the big scoreboard.
Now, Joaquin Bradley stays with him. This is the fastest guy on the football field, Weston Dressler. But great effort and great heads up. Just awareness by Bradley to grab and punch with that free right hand to knock the ball free.
And I would say, just judging by that reaction, Weston Dressler knows that he's going to be denied his second touchdown.
Everybody waiting on the edge of their seats for this decision.
.32 seconds left in the fourth quarter. What a play. And now the biggest call of the game.
After review, the Saskatchewan player fumbled the ball inside the line. Saskatchewan ball, first down on the 1-yard line.
They are saying it's Saskatchewan ball. First down on the 1-yard line. The ball was still alive. What do you think, Wayne?
Well, this was exactly my question about what the ruling is on possession.
57 for Saskatchewan is reporting as eligible.
There's another challenge flag on the field here.
Well, I don't think Hamilton's going to get anywhere with this. By rule, they have to have a...
Timeout. Hamilton.
They have to have a set rule on a fumbled ball when nobody actually recovers it because everybody stopped playing. So they're going to contend that Saskatchewan ball by rule.
Hamilton player knocking it out of bounds, but in the end boundary.
Well, the ball gets punched out here and gets knocked into the end zone. Now that one argument that you're going to get on this play from a Saskatchewan point of view, Bradley punches it up and it goes off of Dressler's pads. He's the last guy to touch it. Typically, when you've got a ball, even knocked out of bounds along the sideline, if the ball is punched out, unless somebody else on that defensive team touches it again,
it's still,
the offense retains possession. Had another Hamilton player been able to get to that football,
then it's Hamilton football.
Presumably the ruling would be different here.
Hamilton wanted to review. It's not reviewable.
This is not going to make the Hamilton fans very happy here. But this has a lot to do exactly what you said with punching the ball out, as opposed to the last guy to touch the ball before it goes out.
Yeah, the punching of the ball creates the fumble, but nobody from Hamilton didn't do anything to get possession. They didn't touch the ball last before it went out of bounds. They needed to touch it again after the fumble occurred. The punch only created the fumble. The punch doesn't make them last to touch the ball.
Now here's the thing, you're at the 1 yard line. Saskatchewan looking for the touchdown. They have it after all of that. So 29 seconds still on the clock. There is time for the Tiger Cats. Let's go back, though. Before all of this, the play by Durant to Dressler. And a clutch play it was. Wes Cates with the touchdown. And the ruling is that because it did touch Wes Dressler's hand on the way out, as it was punched out, it is claimed as Saskatchewan ball. Ball would be down at the 1. 2-point Durant. And unable to catch it is Andy Fantuz.
Well, we're going to take another look at the Dressler fumble. And if you watch closely, after the ball is knocked free, keep an eye on Weston Dressler's right hand. Now the ball is free. That right hand, right arm continues up. I had thought it hit his shoulder pads earlier. It was his arm that continued to knock that ball forward.
So
he's the last to touch the ball before it goes out.
If the fans had knowledge of that, they would understand that that is the ruling.
Now people here are going to get angry at the officials. The officials are calling it by the rule. If you want to get mad at the rule, that's a whole other story.
Well, the bottom line is as well, Weston Dressler sprung for that.
That was a monster play.
It was 1 yard away from being a touchdown. Not to take away the great effort from Joaquin Bradley to knock that out, but still 29 seconds, and Hamilton has to take it to the end zone. 5-point game. Borum now. Trey Smith. Hurdles one to the 38. 26 seconds to go. Up to the 37-yard line, will be first and 10. So now your biggest weapons in your backfield, Jesse Lumsden, still can catch the ball, of course. He's very good at that. But you got to get downfield. You got to get vertical in a hurry.
And the important thing for the Hamilton Tiger Cats is to forget about the emotional roller coaster they've just been through with the fumble, no fumble, touchdown, no touchdown. They've just got to worry about this play and not worry about what's happened in the last few minutes here.
Maybe they can find a way to claw back again. Printers for Scott Mitchell. And there's a flag. The line of scrimmage. Probably a holding call. So now that field just got longer and the clock shorter.
On that jump ball.
Holding Hamilton, number 62. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
That jump ball situation now. Casey Printers has two guys. And 6'4" Chris Bauman. 6'3" Scott Mitchell. Two guys who can get up. Have a big height advantage on a Saskatchewan secondary where no one stands taller than 5'10". The corners are 5'8" and 5'9".
Over the middle, Printers. Tony Miles makes the catch. That took off 5 seconds of the clock. 14 to go. Maybe a chance for 2 plays max here. One of them would have to be into the end zone. Printers flushed out. Looks downfield for Bauman. Bauman is picked off. And there's no penalty flag. Scott Gordon, the former Ticat. Bauman looked like he was bumped a little bit going to that football. 2 seconds to go. Charlie Taff is irate. Let's go to the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra.
Well, depth has been the story for these Saskatchewan Roughriders all season long, and a couple of their depth players came through in the clutch. Quarterback Darian Durant, in his first start, shows the poise to hang in and make this throw. Receiver Weston Dressler in place of the injured DJ Flick. The monster effort, just bringing that play loose all the way to the 1-yard line and set up the touchdown.
TSN Turning Point brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. This will do it. And how about Darian Durant? In relief, he gets the win last week. As a starter, he gets his first win right here today in comeback fashion. Charlie Taff can't believe it. The Riders are 3-0 to start the season. The Cats 1-2. A heartbreaker in Hamilton for the Cats. Riders win 33-28.